Hello, this video is the course intro video for Math 2414, fall semester 2021. So let's take a look at what we have. You can access the course either via my Lone Star or here you can also use this D2l lonestar.edu. I believe the secure login takes you to my Lone Star, but if you're ever having problems, I just want to show this way also. There's this thing, alternate login down here that takes you straight to D2l if you didn't need to access my Lone Star for any reason. So there's multiple ways to access the course. Let me find. I have two sections of this course, so I'm just going to make one video for both sections. So if you're looking at this going, hey, my section's 6005, that's okay. We don't need a new video for that. Well, let's take a look at what we got here. I'm going to change this to student mode. Oh. Let's see. And the main thing in this course is the stuff you need to access is content. That's where all the materials are. Grades will just be where you can view your current grades. And then under course activities, quizzes. That's going to be important, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Nothing else is really that critical on here. Announcements, I have no announcements now, but I will have one, a welcome to the course announcement posted later after this video is ready. So by the time you're looking at this video, you'll see an announcement there, most likely. And so that'll be something there. And one thing about announcements I'll mention, I'm not sure exactly how to do it. I don't think it's very difficult. But I wanted to mention if you wanted, there's a way, I'm sure you can Google it and figure it out, how to, if you wanted to get D2l notifications to come to your phone, if you wanted that anytime that an announcement was made, there's a way to set up, you can do that. You don't have to do that. But if not, you still want to be checking the announcements pretty regularly, just to make sure something, important, if I say something important that you need to pay attention to. But if you don't want to get the notifications, that's quite all right. And all right, let's come over here and start with content. Now, at the time you're actually looking at this, well, actually, there is a course intro video. That's an old one. But you'll see this same title, but it'll be with this video, not the one that's already there right now. And let's see what we got. Let's go through here. So this folder's got a bunch of important stuff in it. Let's see. But let's start with the syllabus. Go through that real quick. I'm not going to, read everything verbatim in here, because you can always see if you read some things and want to ask about it later, you could. Let's just kind of hit the highlights, namely how to get a grade. That's probably the most important thing. All right, let's see. My name's Smalley. That won't be on the test. Online by appointment. Now, obviously, email is an excellent way to contact me. Phone's not as good because I'm not in the office as much. Prefer email. And you can do it via D2l also. You can either do it through some outside email. Although some outside emails, if they're from like an EDU or something, may go to my spam folder, so I might not get them as quickly. But I think once I respond to it the first time, it's probably okay after that. But D2l email will also show up on my regular email. And by appointment, which means I can, set up an online meeting with you if we need to, for whatever reason. So more when I say by appointment, by online appointment. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. Okay, don't care here. Now, this is the official textbook. And I talk about this thing about the calculators and stuff. we talk about proctored exams. The exams this semester are not going to be proctored. Testing centers in the Lone Star system are starting to open back up again, but until they are completely opened, with full access, then I'll go back to proctored exams. But for now, you'll just take the exams at home or wherever you have internet access. So I really can't prohibit you from these calculators right now, as I will do in the future once proctored exams come back. This is the official textbook. You don't have to use this. I'm going to show you an alternative here in a minute. But whether you have this book or if you've taken calculus somewhere else, you could probably still use that book because there's no homework questions that come straight directly out of a book. They'll be in D2l, the quizzes and stuff. So you don't have to use this book, but if you have it, that's terrific. All right. Well, okay. I'm not going to read all this, but maybe you should. You can always ask me about questions later, so there's no point in reading through all this. Yeah, now let me pause here and focus on the grade part of this. Now we have 10 quizzes, and we'll talk more about those later. The lowest 4 are automatically dropped, so whether, if you just don't take one, don't submit one as a 0, that's no different as if dropping any lowest score. So whether it's a 0 or some other score, the lowest 4 are dropped, and then the best 6 count what's called the quiz average. That forms its own grade, the quiz average. Now we're going to have 3 regular exams and a final exam, and then we have the quiz average. So with the 3 exams and the quiz average, the lowest of those 4 will be dropped. All right. So the quiz average is designed to help most people. Yeah, sometimes you'll have somebody that maybe really does strongly on all the tests, and their quiz average happens to be lower than the exams, and then that means it'll be dropped. For most people, it's a helpful grade. So the lowest of those 4 is dropped. So what I have to be careful if someone asks me, is the lowest exam going to be dropped? In other words, are you dropping the lowest exams? I can't really answer directly yes to that because I have to always make sure that I include a statement that says, but that means, that means your quiz average has to count, in other words. So I wouldn't want somebody to misunderstand and think, the lowest exam is going to be dropped and I don't have to do the quizzes. That is absolutely not true. You'd have to have a quiz average to count to be better than your lowest exam. But that means you could choose not to take an exam also. That's your choice. Let's say if you do really strongly on the first 2 and you have a really strong quiz average, you could choose not to take exam 3, but keep in mind that material would be on the final exam. That's all right if you just chose not to take an exam. But so when it's just, instead of just directly saying the lowest exam is dropped, but only if it's replaced by a quiz average. So I want to kind of clarify that. And you could ask me again later if you're not sure, but I often get that question. I want to make sure I answer it properly. So then we have the final exam. So they're all equally weighted. These are all, so everything's 25% each. So they all weigh the same. So the average is really easy to calculate since they all weigh the same. You add up the 4 best scores. Well, the final counts automatically. The final plus the best 3 of the other ones, basically you're adding them up and dividing by 4 because they're equal weight. So let's jump down here. All right. We'll talk more. Like I said, you don't have to have a specific textbook that I have, the one on the syllabus. You can use any one. So read through this calc chat. So if you're using this book I'm about to show you, or any Larson book, really, even the one that's on the syllabus, is it just shows you the answers to the solutions to odd-numbered homework problems. And I'm going to show you the quiz process here in a minute, but it doesn't hurt to read through all this. Everything's multiple choice. The regular exams will all have 20 each. The final will have 25. And here's what I'm mentioning will not be proctored this semester. but possibly by spring of 2022. I said possibly. Don't know for sure, but if the testing centers are back at full operation, then I can revisit that. But who knows? We might be down, not be holding back a little bit with COVID for another semester after this one. All right, so let's kind of skip through all this. You can read all this, ask me questions. Now this calendar, now we're going to talk about the D2l calendar, which is the important one because that has due dates. But this is just sort of more like a course outline per se. It's not something you have to follow directly. It's something they want us to put in there, and I like putting it in there. I don't have a problem with it. Just kind of a way to pace yourself, but you can obviously work ahead of that pace or try to catch up at some point. So that's not something you have to make sure you do perfectly. But it's just kind of a guideline to pace yourself through the course. So do whatever you will with that. That's just, hopefully a tool that might help you. All right, here's just a bunch of stuff here, blah, 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 blah. Okay, beautiful. The end for the syllabus. Takes care of that. Like I said, you might obviously want to read that in more detail than I just did. But I didn't think there was any point in me just reading that to you. The main thing I wanted to focus on was on the grade portion of it. Now this list, this list of problems for the final exam. Now it's not the actual questions. It's some of the wording of the questions with no numbers or no equations. It just shows you the descriptions. It just helps make your studying easier because you know the types of questions to prepare for. So it's it just kind of tells you the type of problem. And then this book I'm about to show you here in a minute, this is the section number it comes from, a book I'm about to show you in just a second. Once again, you'd be able to use whatever you want. Okay. This is a practice homework list. Here's some formulas that are not provided with the exams. You can use them. I probably want to go back to proctored testing. Obviously you can have access to D2l, so you can look at these. But I don't know why I'm saying not provided with the exams. That doesn't mean anything in this format. Here's a basic trig sheet, just some basic stuff here. Now I'm going to show you how to do this, the quiz stuff here coming up in a minute. But if you can remember that these files are here to refer to, instead of having to scroll through this video again to find that part, that's good reference. And just some other references. Now here's the most important reference on this page. It's right here at the very bottom. This one called Other Resources. This is an old textbook. In fact, it's the textbook that you'll see that my lecture notes are numbered by or whatever. I loaded up quicker than I thought. So that's what I was talking about when the book options. You can use this if you want to. That's fine. And so that's, Other Resources are where that's located. All right, so let's go examine another portion of the content here. See what he's got here. We got lecture notes. See what I've got there, I guess I should say. They're organized by exam. So there's no mystery here. Everything's structured to where, all right, what sections are going to be on the exam? It's the ones that are in this folder. Exam 1 notes means those notes are for the exam. So those are my lecture notes for each section. But here's what I was talking about. The numbering of these sections, like I said, is based on that book I just showed you and the other resources. But if you're using another book or whatever, that's all right. Because like I said, there's no homework that's going to be due directly out of any particular textbook. None. I do have a practice homework list in there that goes with this book, and that's just practice. If you want to, it doesn't hurt. Math is a certainly not a spectator sport. You kind of want to practice, so I could go back and show you that. That's okay. It's the one called homework list, but that's not a submitted list of problems, just for practice. But you can probably find, these similar sections, in any textbook that you use. Just don't expect the numbering to be the same. But this will match that number in the other resources book. So I'm not trying to force you into using that. So here they are, exam 1, exam 2, exam 3. Now in this course we're going to have a few sections, that are going to be these 4 sections they're after exam 3, but they're before the final. So that means there'll be a little bit from this on the final exam. Of course, that final exam list of problems will show you which ones will be there, But we have this little extra bit there, so that way I don't overload an extra exam. But that doesn't mean the final is going to be heavily weighted toward this. Not at all. I think there's maybe 2 questions, maybe 3 off of this on the final out of 25. And here's some notes from Cal 1 that you can use as a reference. Now, while I said important notes, I didn't put all my notes there because, frankly, some of the stuff in Cal 1 you learn you won't necessarily need here. The basic things for this course, the prep for this course, is limits, derivatives, integrals, antiderivatives. Frankly, you won't need anything like related rates or optimization. None of that comes back here. Optimization, if you take Cal 3, that comes back. But you don't need any of that. But you've got to be proficient, especially antiderivatives, because those are harder than derivatives. Derivatives, you're generally just kind of following, like a product rule, quotient rule, chain rule, direct rules. But derivatives, you're undoing something, so it works a little harder. So you're going to have to be proficient, especially with integration by substitution. So if you need to do a little reviewing, in fact, the first quiz I want to show you is going to have some of that. But yeah, you want to make sure you get up to speed, because if you don't have some of the basic integration skills down, you're going to be having trouble in this course. And that's why I just didn't include everything from Cal 1, because frankly, it'd be a waste of your time. You don't need everything. But I would go to the integration sections of these notes and start studying those if you're a little rusty, if you hadn't had Cal 1 in a while or whatever, because you don't want to make this course any worse than it need be. But you definitely need to be proficient at integration. Basic integration that was learned in that course, because we're taking it to a different level in this course. All right. And I just put a whole bunch of pre-Cal notes there. I don't know if you'll need any of that for any reason. It's not important. Not as important as Cal 1 notes. And I've got lecture videos, which are basically me. So you see that's why these title right here is not part of 1, 2, and 3, but it's part of the final. But you go right in here, and then it's just a video of me explaining those notes. So it's up to you if you feel like you can learn from just the notes. But I think that the videos will make it a lot better, I think. Sometimes people have told me that they'll might print the notes, watch the video, and then they'll make their own little handwritten comments on my notes to help themselves. Okay, this, that, and the other. So, but I don't. There's not one right way. It's just I'm just mentioning that because I've heard that from other people. You do what's best for you. But yeah, so I have the videos there, and they're organized by exam. And I have Cal 1 videos there too. So you can also look at those notes. You can watch some of those videos if you need some integration refreshers. And actually, you can find the Cal 1 videos on my YouTube page, Math Prof Small. I think there's a space between the math and the prof and the small. But you can when you click on any of these videos, it'll take you to they're all on the same page. Same area. We have exam reviews. That's always nice. And I have just sample problems. They would have a key at the end of there. If you just want to, if you're trying to work them and check the key, there should be a key at the bottom of the file. Excuse me. Now here is, we say solutions. That's just me. Then if you're saying, okay, you stuck something, you can look at how I wrote it out. So you see, okay, so I've got, this is the worked out solutions, like so. So you can do that to help you. Then you could even take it one step further. If you're still like stuck on a problem and that I wrote out the solution to and something's not clear, I have videos of me explaining those solutions. So you get to hear me explain it also. So that's what these are. I've got broke them down into smaller subsections there or whatever. So yeah, so you can, but I would suggest, obviously, since math is not a spectator sport, try to do as many as you can off the original file, and then obviously then go to these other sources if you're stuck and need some assistance. If you just study by looking at what I did, that's not really going to help you that much if you don't make an attempt, because it's, if you try it yourself and you don't succeed, it's still better than just trying to memorize not memorize, but look at my work and then have to implement it when it comes time to take an exam. So we got lecture videos, we got exam review. I got some cold Cal 3 notes here. The only reason I did that is I've had people in the past go, hey, you got any Cal 3 notes? Because maybe they were at their transfer limit of hours or whatever, are going to be taking Cal 3 at a university, whatever the case may be. So I put those in there. So yeah, any of this stuff you can, these PDF files, whatever, you can download and keep for yourself. I don't care. So obviously if you want those Cal 3 notes, you'd want to download those and keep them for yourself. That sort of thing. So help yourself to those. Now let's get to the quizzes. All right, that's key here. Now these are quizzes, but they're not quizzes in the way you might think they're quizzes. In the sense of real-time quizzes like the exams will be. You take them in real time, where in other words you don't see the questions till you take the exam. I just keep calling these quizzes. I haven't changed them. I can almost change them to homework sets, the name, but nobody seems to be too bothered by the name. So, so you actually have access to these questions in advance. So they're like homework. This quiz 0 is basically. You can work on this immediately. I would, because it's just got some algebra and calculus topics. I put these first 2 algebra ones on there just because people screw those up all the time. So I want to make sure you don't make that mistake. That's going to be important later on with some of the integration. So it's just doing some derivatives, doing some integrals. These are all Cal 1 type of integrals. Get a good refresher early there. And go to my notes, and see what you can find, and use my notes, use my resources. But anyway, here's how this works. Oh, okay, so this one has 20. All the other ones have 10. Yeah, I wanted this one to have more just because, kind of as a review. So what you do is you go through, you work all these problems. Save your answers. And when I say save, mark them down. I don't mean electronically save them or whatever. So whether you print them out, whatever you want to do, but just keep track of your answers. Then, when you're done, there's no paper submission of any kind in this course. So let's come in here. I'm looking at it from your point of view. I need to edit this though, because in my Cal 1 video, I needed to change the date to make this accessible. And we'll talk more about this menu here in a minute, but I'm going to edit this to make it active right now instead of in about 3 hours from now, which is it's about 9 o'clock here when I'm making this video. All right, then I'll go back to student mode here in a second. now. Let's do that. Course activities, quizzes. Now to take the quiz, so you have, this is not like a My Math, if you've ever done like a, well, I'm just using My Math Lab by Pearson, other ones. This is not like those kind of homework things where you can kind of go in, do some, come back, do some more. Here and there, you got to submit them all at once. So you work them out, get your answers ready. And you see, here's a deadline, so you got to open this file up before the deadline. Yeah, you could open it up at 10:30 or whatever, 10 just before the deadline, even 10:50, and it'll go past. I think the times are set like 60 minutes, but you don't really need 60 minutes. That's more than enough because you're not working the problems; you're just submitting your answers. So we click on the quiz, start quiz. And you go through and mark all your answers. Okay, I pause the video just to save the time, and you watch me and go through bubbling all these answers, waste of your time. So now you see it says 20 out of 20, are submitted. So obviously keep in mind if you're taking a quiz and you have to submit it, and so you're not sure about one or more of the answers, go ahead and guess. It's better than nothing, so you want to at least have the answers, take a chance. But obviously, it's not good to try to guess on every one of them. Now, one thing before I submit here, I want to mention about these quizzes. I don't know what causes this, but the questions aren't going to change that you have on your PDF file. But sometimes D2l here, that the answers can be scrambled. I don't know why. I don't do that on purpose to torture you. It may not even be every problem, maybe some problems. So just look extra carefully at your marked answer that you feel is right. So don't haphazardly bubble through this in about, a minute. Because let's say on the PDF file, the correct answer to a problem was answer A, and you're certain that it's right, but that same exact answer appears as answer D and when it's in D2l, you pick answer D. You pick the one that matches. Don't worry about the actual letter that goes with it. I wish it didn't do that, but anyway. So just be super careful when you're marking your answers that it matches the answer that you want it to be, in other words. So don't just blindly pick the letters. So when that's done, you submit your quiz. Now, I just randomly picked answers, so this is not going to be a good score. I didn't try to do well on it. I just wanted to, just trying to show the process. It's not supposed to show the submission here yet. It's not supposed to be. Okay, well, let me check some settings here. So I made a 7 out of 20. I made a 35. I'll have to check. I don't know. It's not supposed to show that attempt because I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, because I have they're not supposed to be viewable until maybe it's because I'm submitting it as myself. That might be the issue. So that means I can view it anytime I want. I can view my own submission. But this won't be available until an hour after the deadline. I know sometimes people will submit it early, which is nothing wrong with that. Oh, I missed one. I want to know which one I missed. You'll be able to know, but you have to wait until 1 hour after the deadline. I'll go back to the calendar here in a minute. Or go back to the quiz section here. So let's go in here. And so here's how you'll do this. So you see, well, I can tell. Now I'll go back to, well, I'll look. Either, it doesn't really matter. So, but see, so this is September 15th at 11 p.m. That means you'd be able to see it at midnight on the 16th. And the way to do that is, and once you see how to do it, it's easy, but it could be a little tricky at first, is that you click on the blue thing here to actually enter your answers for the quiz. But to view a submission, you come over here, once again, it has to be after the deadline. You won't see anything until midnight on the 16th. you click the drop-down arrow and you click on submissions, and then it will say attempt, and then you click on your attempt, and you can look and see at that point the rest of the semester you'll be able to see anything you want at that point. So, and there's a couple of those files that show how to do this that are in that same folder where the syllabus is. You know, how to submit D2l and how to review, in case you forget that and don't want to try to scroll through the video. But you just click the drop down arrow. Now I'm going to switch back out of student mode. Now the exams, I will make those viewable when I'm ready. If I forget, just send me a message to remind. They don't automatically become viewable. I have to make them viewable. But the quizzes all work this way. So you see, everything's technically open. That means that there's nothing wrong with you don't have to, but you can work a little ahead this class if you want to. You don't have to wait for the deadline. You see, but everything does have a deadline, so you have to submit it by these deadlines. Everything is 11 p.m. So somebody wants, well, I thought it was halfway through the semester. I thought this was due at midnight. Well, that's not a good excuse when everything except one exception to that. And I'll try to make sure I remind people right before the final. Everything is 11 p.m. on whatever day it's supposed to be. All the dates right here. Except the final is 7 p.m. That's because I'm giving you that last possible day, that Sunday, so that way I want the deadline to be a little earlier in the evening so I can kind of start processing grades a little quicker that way. That's the only reason. And I'll try to remind people, but everything, because I don't want you to be confused about that one if you're used to being everything else being 11. But there's no reason to be confused about the others because they're all 11 p.m. on their respective dates. Now the exams, and I'll send out a message with the passwords and then also the time limits or whatever. But the only reason I have passwords there, I'll make them all public. It's just for the exams. I didn't do it for the quizzes, but I don't want somebody to accidentally open an exam before they're ready to open it. There's almost no way you can open it accidentally if you have to type in a password. So let me just click on this, and I'm pretty generous with the time amount. No one's ever complained or whatever. They're all at least like 3.5 hours, something like that. So I'll publish that quickly, and that'll stay in D2l. Always remember you can scroll back through your announcements because somebody around the first exam is going to email me. What was the password for exam 1? That'll be in an announcement. You just have to scroll back to when I'm going to make the announcement pretty soon, probably by tomorrow. So you can scroll back to it. They won't expire. In other words, the announcements will not only be up for a week or anything like that. They will stay there. Of course, they're all like simple like this: exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, and final exam with no spaces. But this one has 210 minutes, so 3.5 hours. So that's a lot of time. As long as you open it up before the deadline, of course, obviously, be careful with, depending on when you sleep and that sort of stuff too. It might not do. I'll open it up at 10:30 or whatever. That's fine. You can do that, and then you'll have until 2 a.m. But depending on your nature, if you're an early bird, I don't think you'll be very mentally coherent while you're taking the exam. So that's probably a bad strategy. So you might want to keep that in mind, not take it at a time that makes you uncomfortable physically. But like I said, so everything is set up. You can work ahead in this course if you want to. You don't have to, but you could if you want to finish a little early before you have finals with other classes. I'm not trying to put any pressure on you. It makes no difference to me, but you can do that. So just because these exams, they have deadline dates, but they're not the only date to take the exam, is what I'm saying. It's just the last date to do it. All right, let's see. I think that covers everything. Also, you can find it under there's also, and you go to the home page. This should be the same view even in student view. There's a calendar at the bottom right that shows not the thing I put in the syllabus. I call that, even though I call it a calendar, it's more of an outline. Here's just like showing due dates of stuff. But you can get to it under the quiz folder there. So let me look at course content here, and I think we might be done there. So, but you'll see some other announcements pop up here pretty soon. And okay, oh, that's the student view. Which is fine. Go back to my point of view here, and I think we're in good shape now. So I will believe that will conclude this video, and you know, I'm only an email away if you have any questions. So I think we're going to have a great semester here in Cal 2, and I wish everyone good luck and success. So here we go.